Joining us now, key House members, we have Cathy, McMorris-Rodgers, and Jason Smith. Hello to both of you. Happy New Year to both of you. Jason Smith has been wonderful. Cathy, you have been dodging me and ignoring me for the whole duration, and it's a great pleasure to have you back. And
Never, Larry. It's great to see you. Happy New Year.
Yes, thank you, and to you, and to both of you. So I want to talk about this whole business. The Bidens, or I don't know, maybe some Republicans in the Senate, somebody's cooking up new COVID-related spending, which I find to be completely off the charts, unbelievably off the charts. But what you two are saying, along with Kevin Brady and some others, they've never really accounted, and Cathy, I'll start with you, they've never really accounted for the existing COVID spending. And that's been a problem from day one. So why would we want to have new COVID spending? What's your take on this?
It's really unbelievable what you just said, Larry. There's been zero transparency by the Biden administration as to how they've already spent trillions of dollars. We've been trying to get answers, and instead we're getting these reports that they've rerouted billions of dollars. You think about, we understand that they have rerouted $2 billion that was intended for testing, for example, testing that we really need right now during this surge to help house illegal immigrants at the southern border. There's so many questions that need to be answered, and there is zero transparency, zero accountability. It's just, they just like these empty promises about, oh yeah, we're helping people, we're going to help the economy, but the idea that they're going to have more money right now, or they want more spending when they haven't answered these questions, it just cannot happen, because the spending, as you just pointed out, that's what's driving the inflation right now. And President Biden owes every individual answers right now. He owes us answers as to why our children have missed so much school, and our essential health workers have been on the front lines, and every American who wants their lives back to normal, he needs to be answering these questions to us, and we need a full accounting of these funds.
Well, thank you for that. Look, Jason Smith, from the budget standpoint, I mean, I don't know whether we actually got the accounting. You got, so $4 trillion, I'm going to do round numbers, $4 trillion in 2020. There were two bipartisan bills. We had former Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin was on earlier this week talking about that. No reconciliation. We did it on a bipartisan basis, unanimous vote in the Senate. But now we have this so-called $1.9 trillion, and now we've stopped the $5 trillion so far, kill the bill, save America. But Jason, how much is left over? There was an argument made. Kevin Brady's made the argument. I think you've made the argument. Others in the Senate have made the argument that we could have paid for a lot of things, but we haven't even used up the number that has already been allocated, or I'll say authorized but not spent. What is that number? Does anybody know?
You know, Larry, of the roughly $6 trillion of COVID money that has been passed, the Budget Committee, we believe that there is more than $500 billion that has been passed that has not been spent. We actually have asked this administration for a clear record. In fact, the Budget Committee has sent over 35 letters to the administration asking for accounting of the spending of the COVID money. We've got one response. But what we have found, Larry, in some of the spending, we found $2 million was spent of COVID money to plant trees in Syracuse. We found $16 million that was spent to build a golf course in Palm Beach. We found millions of dollars for luxury apartments in Connecticut. We saw stimulus checks going to Japanese citizens who live in Japan. And of course, we've seen stimulus checks go to prisoners, including the Boston bomber. It's unacceptable. This administration will not account for it. And that's why we sent this letter asking for true transparency in the money. And, you know, it's very clear, Larry, if you saw the day after Joe Manchin helped save America by saying that he would not support the Build Back Better bill, President Biden goes out there and does his huge COVID press conference, setting the groundwork to try to pass another reconciliation package with billions and billions for, quote, COVID money, as they did this last $2 trillion, but less than 9% actually went towards COVID.
Well, I know. I love this. Cathy, McMorris-Rodgers, come back to you on this. I'm reading from your letter, your combined letter, you and Jason and Kevin. Quote, less than a dime of every dollar in the Democrats' $1.9 trillion bill in March actually went to COVID vaccinations and defeating the virus. Less than a dime of every dollar. So, less than 10%. So I wanted you to substantiate that and then tell us, me, our listeners and whoever, how much more COVID money do you think they're going to ask for?
Well, there's no limit to their appetite to spend money and ask for more money. But it is true. So the February package, almost a year ago, that American Rescue Plan that they told was a part of the COVID relief, nearly $2 trillion. Only 9% of that actually was focused on COVID. And what Jason just said from the budget perspective, and from the Energy and Commerce Committee perspective, we've been trying to get answers. They are not being transparent. They're not even sending up the administration officials in front of the committee. I've been asking over and over. It's been over a year, and we have not had the leaders of these agencies before our committee so that we could ask some of these questions, so that we could better understand how the money's been spent, or, God forbid, why they would think that they need more money. Under the Trump administration, they were demanding that the officials, the agency directors, come in front of the committee, answer these questions. And that's what we need. We need to be, and I can tell you from the Republican perspective, we're going to be using every tool in the toolbox. We're going to keep pushing because we must have this accounting, and we must hold them accountable for how they're spending the money.
Well, I think the public would be very interested to know that 9% number you talk about. That goes back to the last winter, the $1.9 trillion. That's not the infrastructure bill. That was the original. So I don't think people knew this. I mean, actually, until I read your letter, I'm not sure I knew it. I knew it was low, but sure, they larded up with social spending. Jason, look at Build Back Better dead. I mean, I think Joe Manchin, Kyrsten Sinema, I think it's Saving America and Kill the Bill. But things in Washington are never dead until they're dead, and even then they're never dead. So I thought I'd get your assessment about that.
Larry, you have to play whack-a-mole because, like you said, nothing's dead truly in Washington. But I'll tell you, the CBO score didn't lie. Whenever Senator Manchin cited the CBO score that Lindsey Graham and I requested with no budget gimmicks, and it showed it was going to cost $5.1 trillion, I'm glad that in his press release he cited that, because he didn't want any budget gimmicks. He wanted things to pass fully. And if he holds to that line, there's no way they'll pass it. The only way I think that they push Build Back Better bill is if they do it, quote, in the name of COVID, their $2 trillion spending package back last spring, and they may try to push it forward again. I think that may be the path that they try, Larry.
Well, then you all have to be ready, armed, with this analysis from your letter, and maybe get even more factoid. I don't think the public would dare buy it. I mean, that's just me. I could be wrong. I thought the stratagem you had with Lindsey Graham to get the 10-year accurate price out, no gimmicks, was brilliant. I said on this show that would kill the bill. I think that was the single biggest sword, or whatever we're going to call it, in it. Now, I've been trying to kill Keynesian economics for 4 decades plus, and it keeps coming back at me, so you never know. But I think it was a good start. It was a nice, sharp sword. Cathy McMorris-Rodgers, let me ask you this. This is a request, okay? When the new session begins and we get down to serious business, I would love to see the Republican conference in the House. I'd like to see it in the Senate also. Can we think about making the Trump tax cuts permanent? Okay, you saw Biden today attacking supply-siders. I'm not going to take it personally, but he attacked supply-siders, so-called growth. His great contribution is a 7% inflation rate and rising. But I think the Trump tax cuts had a lot to do with the prosperity of recent years, middle-class, blue-collar prosperity. So, Cathy, I'm just saying, can we stir the pot, get a bill that would make the Trump tax cuts permanent? The corporate taxes, the depreciation, the individual, capital gain, let's just nail that down. Have something positive. Go on the offense, Cathy.
For sure. I love what Larry Kudlow, when he was the president's economic advisor, said about Lowering taxes, you cut taxes, you lift the regulatory burden, you say yes to American energy and negotiate better trade deals, and the economy booms. And that's what we had before COVID. We remember that that was the formula that worked. And so I completely agree. Let's make those tax cuts permanent. Let's get this economy booming again. Let's get people coming off the sidelines again, rather than what we see right now where we're shutting down jobs, shutting down American energy, all this talk about raising taxes, and the result is more federal government command and control, because we know that socialism controls, free markets create, and the American people, they'll respond to that formula of cutting taxes and lifting the regulatory burden. They'll start creating, we'll have more jobs. We'll be leading the world in innovation, and next, let's lift a new generation, a new era of entrepreneurship. That's what we should be focusing on.
I love that. I love that. That's why you have to come on the show more. I love that stuff. I do. Jason, I don't have enough time. The producers are yelling at me, but I got to work this in. In 2016, in the late spring of 2016, when Donald Trump came down to Washington to meet the House conference, all the Republicans in the House conference, Cathy McMorris-Rodgers introduced me and I introduced Trump, but she didn't know she was going to introduce me to introduce Trump, but she took it well. She took it very well with a smile on her face, which is a wonderful thing. I've never forgotten that, Cathy.
Cathy does a wonderful job.
It's terrific stuff. I know. Just reminiscing. You like to reminisce on the good things in life. All right, you'll come back. Jason, you've been fabulous as always. Happy New Year's to both of you. I appreciate it.